we've often looked in the police at a scenario of completely ridding the city of Bristol of drugs. And I think that it could be done by using every police officer that the Avon and Somerset has, which is about 3,500, to work in the city, and clearly we could enforce that problem out. But it wouldn't solve the problem, and you would need to maintain that level of resourcing for a long period of time. You can push things out, and clearly what that would probably do is push the problem to other, large towns in the area. It would make places like Exeter, Plymouth, Gloucester, Birmingham far more vulnerable to those drugs markets, but we'd be maintaining forever.
It's important for the system to do the work the way they do it, because that's the only way that they know. They've got 40 years of locking people up. The solution is, we're going to lock you up. You take drugs, we'll lock you up. You deal drugs, we'll lock you up. You commit crime, we'll lock you up. That thinking where they're saying to the drug users, okay, if you take drugs and you're committing crime, we need for you to go to rehab. That's different. That's kind of like preventing the stuff, right?
Throughout my 30 years of abusing drugs, I did several terms at Her Majesty's Pleasure, which is prison. And each time they were related to obviously to my drug habit and supporting that habit. Each time I came out, I went straight back to my dealer on the day that I came out. Unfortunately, here we are many years on, and exactly the same thing is happening. You've got people locked up in prisons for drug-related crimes, including dealing. They're getting no rehabilitation. The prisons, as you know, are absolutely full and almost in crisis, and the police certainly aren't coping with it. So this problem is not going to be sorted through this system at all.
And it's my experience of that then, which is why when I've come out from prison, I deal with it the way I deal. I deal with prevention rather than, So I don't wait until the kid is 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, involved in drugs. No, I try to get to him before, while he's interested in sporting activities, while he's interested in his music, try to encourage it, try to develop it. Yeah, so in the future, he won't be so much like looking at, oh, I can't get no money because, or I can't get no pocket money because, da-da-da-da.
Well, finally, after 25 years, I'm off of methadone. Something which I thought would never happen. It was a demon that would never leave me, and it has, so I'm living proof it's possible. And the reasons for that, the main reasons for that was having the right support, and I mean the right support in a number of ways. A doctor who let me hang myself in some situations and didn't say you will do this and do that. A brilliant drugs worker from the local drugs agency, CAD in Bristol, who again gave me that space and that choice and that freedom to make my own decisions, because at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for your own life. And the other thing is filling that massive void. I had no life out of my drug use, so I had to find one, and that for me was ideal. And okay, that was fortunate for me. And I think treatment today, that is still lacking. Funding is always an issue, and I think will continue to be an issue until they change the system, because there's not enough money. In Bristol, we have 8,000 problematic users, only 4,000 we can put in treatment. That's 50% of the population who can't even get treatment. So that's got to change. But I think the other thing is, you've got to have a focus on what do you do when you've had a life embedded in drugs. What do you offer people outside of it? What's their future?
What you have is both a recreational and drug using and addict population that need to buy drugs, and somebody's going to sell it to them, because there's a hell of a lot of unregulated money to be made by doing it. So all you can ever do is move it around. In terms of dealing with your addict population, if, as all the evidence suggests, its underlying causes that lead them into problematic use. It's only by dealing with the underlying causes. If you treat one group of addicts, there's a whole lot more coming up to replace them if the underlying issues aren't dealt with.
This is the final bit for me. And what I've learned a number of things, but one of the main things I've learned through making this film is that we've got to break this cycle of, in these poorer communities, kids getting into drugs, adults getting into drugs, people dealing drugs, being locked up for it, being sent through the courts for it, coming out the other end, reoffending and doing it all over again. We have got to break that cycle. That's one thing. The other big thing is that governments have recognised that areas like the area that I live in and areas all over England similar to this have problems, and they've given them huge amounts of money, but what they haven't done is they haven't looked at their drug strategy alongside prevention. And prevention is the absolute key to all of this, because if you don't prevent it all, it's going to continue and continue and continue. And I want it all, I want it finished once and for all. I want these communities to be good places to live, and the way to do that is through giving the communities the power, the money and the freedom and choice to do what they know well. And that is possible. It is possible, and I believe it's possible. But at the end of the day, it's how you want to live your future, and I want to live my future drug-free, because I know that's where I'll be happiest, and I never thought happy was achievable, ever. I thought life was just something that you just, put up with, I guess. And now I'm looking forward to being happy, and now I want to be around for another 50 years, because I want to bore people to death, really.